We are live. We're going to wait for some people to come on before I introduce you. Hello, everybody. I've got my big girl voice on. Let me find ourselves on this little screen over here. Come on, pop up. Where are you? How are we doing, everybody? Is it Thursday?
Yep.
Happy Thursday to the team. How are we doing? I am sitting here with Will and Grace, aka TJ and Adam. The amazing, the one and only TJ. Sorry, Adam.
It's okay. It's fine.
I am telling you, I want some more people to come on before I start bagging Adam. 10 people, we need some more people.
Why am I even here?
This is our Jeff education class. It is going to be insane. We are going to be speaking all things modifications. This is TJ next to me. TJ is actually my physio and the best physio in Cape Town or in the country, in my opinion. Sorry, Adam. Adam is her protege, aka the Will to her Grace. These two are the absolute bomb. If you are in Cape Town, TJ, just give us a little bit of background. Sorry, the puppy's going crazy. Give us a little bit of background, TJ, of kind of where you've been, who you've worked with. The reason why I know you is because my brother was with you from the cricket team. So, when we started getting into it and I started having all my issues with my shoulders and everything else, my brother said, nah, there's only one physio that you go to. And I got sent over to TJ. And I think it's been over 12 years now that I've been coming back and forth to TJ from when I was in Australia, when I was in the States. TJ actually was a huge influence in my mom's life as well. When my mom was going through all of her neck pain and jaw pain, and then when she ended up going through her whole cancer journey, Adam was just in the background, really. Moral support. But TJ, just tell us a little bit of a background of you, where you've been, your journey. Just kind of, you're a superhuman of a physio, and so I just want you to give us a bit of background on you.
So, see, to be honest, the physio is only part of a very big journey, and maybe why I ended up the type of physio that I am. I was actually a ballerina. I was one of those kids that actually dabbled in a few things, and I was a ballerina.
I didn't know that.
I know you didn't know that. I was a ballerina.
You have to elevate your voice. We need big girl voices.
Okay, sorry. I was a ballerina for many years. My mom actually had a ballet school, and so I grew up in the studio, and I guess subconsciously I was watching moving bodies the whole time. And I guess in a way it was a matter of why can that girl do the double forte and this girl can't? And so you're looking at what looks to be the same type of body, doing the same type of sport, but not achieving the same outcome. And then I did my international dance performers and my teachers actually, and then I went to London. I did more of that before I actually got into the physio side overseas. Physio came in after most of my ballet years, and I did that at UCT. And basically I have just chosen to go, I guess, into the movement aspect of physiotherapy, which is where Adam and I work together as a team. We're known as rehab specialists, fancy word. We just choose rehab to allow you to fix what is the problem rather than fixing symptoms. I have a problem fixing symptoms, whether I take it as far as it being an ethical issue for me, but I like you to understand your body, know how it works, why yours is different to the next person that comes in, and then how you can make a long-term solution.
And the reason why I love TJ and Adam so much and as physios or rehab specialists is because it's not that you go in there and they put these needles into you and they give you a quick massage and say, cool, you good, off you go. You actually are the first physios that I've ever been to where you actually go into a room and TJ makes you do exercises. She checks your body. Adam comes in and checks as well. They have these little chats. And you actually end up sweating in that I call her actually the real angel of darkness. Because we go in there with those med balls and she makes me do all these exercises and there's banter back and forth. But it's not just about this is the problem. It's let's see why there's the problem and then how can we work the correct muscle groups to actually fix the problem. And so I'm so excited that TJ is here and Adam. I'm so glad that they are here because we are actually going to be speaking a little bit of education from TJ and Adam, and then they're actually going to be going through some exercises that we've earmarked that people struggle with regards to in our workouts, high intensity workouts. So if it's a mountain climber or a burpee or a jump lunge or a squat lunge. And TJ is going to go through that, and Adam, and we're going to speak about what modifications can we do, what adjustments can we make. And so I'm going to hand it over to TJ and Adam. And then at the end, I'm going to get you to ask some questions. So if you have any questions about any other exercises or anything else that you want to ask, we'll then go into that. I've given TJ a strict time limit because she's known to talk a lot. So myself and Adam are going to be watching her, but we are going to get going. I'm going to hand it over to TJ, and then I'm going to come back in. Over to you guys. Oh, wait. We're going to play a video first. Ready? Over to you guys.
Yeah. Okay, we thought it a bit pertinent for you to understand a little bit of how your body works than to worry about really what the exercises and the modifications that we are going to give you. So I'd like to use the analogy, I use it with my patients, the analogy of a cake. So when you see a cake and you look at it, you can only see it from the outside, you have no idea what type of cake it is on the inside and whether it's a good cake to eat in the second place. So you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't look on the outside and start judging what's happening on the inside. And if you put that with regards to a person, when a patient or someone walks up to me, I don't look at them and then start figuring out exactly what the problem is. I look on the outside, I get an idea, and then I move on to assessing to how they move on the inside. And the important thing to remember as well is that genetics and things that are out of our control play a role in what's happening on the inside as well, which is why some of us are absolutely pain-free doing all the exercises, whether it's with Jeff or running or any sport that you've chosen, and some people struggle. All right, the next thing to look at is if you look at a person, you can't also judge. They've got big quads and huge thighs, and so now I must assume that they have a really strong quad. The quad is in the front of the thigh. You can't assume just because someone's got a really big quad that they're strong. You can't make that assumption at all. It's the same with the cake. If the cake is large or the cake is small, it still doesn't tell you what the cake is like on the inside. So you've got to be really, really sure of checking what's happening on the inside before you start commenting. The next thing is the process of making a cake is really, really important. I know, listen guys, in fact, I won't even ask my kids to post anything right now because I actually hate the kitchen. I'm known to burn toast. So when they say it's an easy recipe, and I'm sure Adrian gives you the best recipes ever, it's safe for me to watch the video of Adrian making the food than to ever attempt. So the process of making a cake, apparently, so I've heard, is that if you put in eggs before the flour or eggs after the flour, how the cake turns out can be vastly different. And so you need to make sure that the processes your body goes through in performing an exercise, so that would be how the cake comes out at the end and you decorate it, that external vision that you see, the cake, the processes are put in the right order prior to that. And the reason we say that, and this is where we struggle as physiotherapists, and funny enough, it's not always the person that's never done a load of exercise their entire lives. So our elite athletes can sometimes be very, very difficult because the vision and the muscles that you see externally when you look at someone doesn't tell you about the muscle system that you have on the inside. We have two completely different muscle systems. Okay, they failed to tell us this at Varsity. It's through the amount of research that we have been doing with people with back pain, people with knee pain. We found that there's a whole different system. And ironically, I'm not going to go into the details of this because this is an entirely different talk on its own. But you can't see one of the muscle systems. So again, judging the cake from the outside, you have no idea how that inside muscle system is working. So you've got to make sure that, yes, certain muscles activate. That's one box to tick. The other box to tick is, did it actually activate and sequence correctly with the other muscles it works with? So that's another box. And then the next thing is, can it do it for a period of time? So that's where the endurance factor comes in. And the last factor would be when you're adding resistance and speed. So there are a whole lot of things that come into play before we even have baked the cake, it's come out and we've decorated it, before you've actually done the exercise, done it repetitively, and seen what the outcome is. And now, Hey, Ads, our biggest battle is I didn't do my exercises you gave me. So that's really problematic because I know Jono has said, you've got to get out there, you've got to do it. You're the only people that can make the change. It is unfortunately an era where it's like pick and pay online, Woolworths online. I'd rather go and buy the cake than make the cake. And it's a lot easier to have it delivered to your house, even rather than go to the shops, than to make the cake and go through those processes. So if we have given you an exercise modification today, and you can do it slowly, then maybe it's an idea to do a few of those before the class starts. That's one option. Or within the class, you do it slower. I know you're really worried about getting discovery vitality points and the heart rate has to be up. But this is where outside of Jeff and outside your home gym, you need to make sure that you're doing these exercises to make those processes and that sequencing change so that your outcome is different. Anything else, Ab?
Yeah, I mean, I think with working with you and where rehab has come into my life a lot is understanding, and that's what TJ has also just gone through now. Is if you have a pain, understand why, because it's first off going to give you some kind of goal.
Please understand as well that you might be having symptoms at your knee. And I understand that even maybe if we did X-ray or ultrasound or MRI, your knee, you may have changes happening with the knee. Again, just because of where I come from, that doesn't mean that's where the causative is. It could be a hip, it could be an ankle, it could be anything else. Okay, and I will show you when we go through the exercises that we have given you some options for, and you may even find another option on your own. Is that between Adam and I, we're vastly different. Adam, ironically, I have treated when he was much younger, had a knee issue, and I've never had knee issues. And you will see that we've got vastly different ankle ranges of movement. So you need to just contemplate that the issue might be symptomatically in one place, but causatively somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So today, Sarah gave us a few exercises you guys needed some modifications on. And the one is the squat. The other is the squat jump or the air squat. We've got a lunge, and we've got the jump lunge. Yeah. We've got the burpee, and we've got the mountain climbers. Okay, so what we'll do is let's start with the squat because it's symmetrical. It's on 2 feet. The irony is if you can't do a squat, don't do the air squat, okay, because you're leaving the ground. And there's a gap between you and the ground. And when you land, if you didn't have the correct squat to start off with, you're not going to find it once you've lost contact with the land. Yep. Okay, so shall we go through that? Okay, I'll get Adam to pod in. We'll mix it up. Okay, can you see me? Yes. Okay, cool bananas. Right. So with the squat, one of the most important things is actually how your pelvis is placed. Okay, again, another whole discussion if you guys are wanting to know about neutral pelvis. But basically, if you're standing, your 2 hip bones, pubic bone forms a triangle, and that should be perpendicular to the floor. Your pubic bone shouldn't be behind, and your pubic bone shouldn't be in front of your hip bones. So neutral pelvis. All right. The next most important thing when it comes to a squat, just in the movement pattern, is that we're not trying to drive the knees over the ankles too much. We're trying to actually sit back and then limiting how much the knee goes over. Now you will see Adam finds the squat really easy, okay, because he's got the most amazing ankle range. I can't do that. Have a look. That's as far as I get. Okay, I'm still keeping my back flat. I'm mobilizing in the hip, and I'm sitting back as far as I can. I could make it slightly wider, or you can put something underneath your heels, like hooks or a towel, so that you're up more like that. Then it will allow you to sit back more and get your deeper lunge. The next thing is, when you come up, you must make sure you come up engaging your glutes and getting back to neutral pelvis. That is not neutral pelvis. That might not necessarily give you knee pain, but it will definitely not help your back. So it's neutral pelvis, sitting back, lifting the heels if you need to on something. I'm just balancing for now, sitting back. And then when you come up, squeeze those glutes to get the proper hip extension. Don't get caught to that position. You don't want to sit there and only come up to here, because you know you're going back down again. And again, that's where speed starts to throw things off. From the front, you need to make sure that your knees drive over your second toe when they're bent. So they're going over your second toe. They're not coming in, but in the same breath, they're not driving outwards. Have I forgotten anything?
Yeah. So Teach has a little bit of decrease in range in her ankles, and so I can get way further down. But for me, I know that if I'm going to keep going down all the way and then coming up, I know that my right knee then gets a little bit niggly. So depth of where I'm going down also makes a big difference for me. Just because I have the range doesn't mean that I have to use it all the time as well. So as I'll come down, I'll choose to stop down here, get my hips, and then come back through to get up. Just so that I'm not putting as much pressure through my knee all the way down to the bottom.
So let's say that you now know how to do a squat correctly, but you're still having pain. So Adam mentioned one of the things. If you haven't raised your heels, you haven't sat up, none of that's helping, and you have lined your knees, that's not helping. Adam spoke about the depth. The depth of your squat doesn't have to be into pain, and it shouldn't be into pain. You always stop short of pain, and then you make sure that you come back out. And your range might be smaller, but at least you can do the range that your body will allow, that your tissues will allow. Remember, what's happening on the inside will allow. The other thing is, if it's really, really bad and you have, again, what's happening on the inside, different tendon makeup, different collagen makeup, or a history of a knee injury or knee surgery, then maybe you don't want to do a moving squat. Maybe what you want to do is you want to go down, down, down as far as you can, again, short of pain. And now you want to keep your heart rate going, then what I suggest you do is bring in an arm like you're boxing forward. Bring in some of Jono's arms boxing forward with or without the calf. But you're going to hold for the 30 seconds and come back up. You're not going to come up and down for the 30 seconds. Happy? Right. So now it comes to the air squat. Well, you can imagine if you can't push off right, there's no point in leaving the floor. Okay. So there are also variations. You can either go back and do the variations through the squat, and as you get stronger, your first bet would be bend and just push up onto your toes. Bend and push up onto your toes. Don't actually leave the floor, because in the time that you leave the floor, there are more problems on a land. Guys, no one gets injured jumping into the air. People get injured coming down because it's the number of times your body weight that your body has to control. It's not just body weight anymore. So that's my comment on air squats. Lunges. Right, lunges I'm going to do from the side again. Neutral pelvis. Okay, you're going to take quite a big step forward. Your back heels up. When you bend, this is why I'm doing it side on, is you only bend the front leg where the knee is in line with the ankle. Because I told you, we're not trying to drive over. That's not a good force and load through the knee. So you go to where the knee is in line with the ankle, and then holding neutral pelvis, you are dropping that back knee straight down. Okay? So you're keeping this as it is. From the front, we don't lunge directly in front of us. In fact, if you can put a piece of tape or watch the tiles in your house, you actually step on either side and you step forward, slightly wide and forward. What you're trying to make sure is your hips do not sit like this. Your hips must remain level, okay? And when you bend that front knee again, it's not collapsing. It stays definitely over your second toe, and you bend that back knee down. He also doesn't deviate out sideways. It would be a lot easier, but causes a lot of problems, going down towards the floor, tapping and coming up. Okay. The problem there is if you still have pain doing a lunge, despite doing it absolutely perfectly, you're going to do the same thing where you don't step back and forward like this. Okay, you stay in the lunge position and you go down and come back up. And you go straight down and you come back up. And you go straight down and you come back up. Okay? Let's say you still have pain doing that. Then again, like Adam's brought up with the squat, you only go down as far as you can, short of pain. So say I get pain there, oh, that's very uncomfortable. You come just out, and there your punching arms come in with your hands, or maybe you want to smash your pillow onto your front knee. You could do any of those options. Anything else, Ad?
Yeah, I think when you brought lunges up as well, when you first started to think, when I think of lunges, I always used to just think front foot is the only leg that's having to do something. But with your lunges, both legs have their need. When you're going into a lunge, you want the front leg to work, but you also want some way to go through the back leg so you can distribute your weight not just through your front knee or your front quad, but you can also bring some back so you can just balance things out, or balance that force out when you're going through your lunges.
Okay, which then leads on to our lunge jumps. Okay? You can't lunge properly and without pain, I wouldn't worry about the lunge jump. But again, you could reiterate, when you do the lunge, when you come back up, you think of going up, and then you go back down. And you think of going up. So you go up onto the ball of both feet, and you control back down. Remembering that when we jump, another whole discussion, but very quickly, when you jump, you're supposed to technically squat, calf raise, leave the floor, and then you've got to reverse doing that. So don't land flat foot either if you're doing squats. I know you've got tackies on and all that, but maybe doing it without them, you will actually hear yourself land. Yes? Yeah. Okay, then we have to discuss the mountain. Let's do the mountain climber. Okay, the mountain climber, I think Jono is doing in this position, and we like this one. Am I right, Hans?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so the first thing is make sure you're using your shoulder. That's quite a lot of force through the front of the knee. So maybe what you should do is lift off one leg and lift it in, take it back. Lift it in, take it back. Lift it in, take it back. Lift it. The speed at which you do that depends on how strong you are. Let's say it takes too long for your front of that leg that remains on the floor to actually engage, then I would just do the one leg and then do the other leg. Yep? Everyone clear on that? The dreaded burpee. Look, certain exercises are high risk and some are low risk. And it also depends on the body type, like internally. Some of us can do burpees and some of us can't. But again, it does not only mean your knee is struggling and the knee is the problem. Because to get back down, your hips have to move and mobilize as well. So the one option is, if you're struggling with your knees in the burpee, the one option is to, again, fake jump onto your toes, go down, and walk out rather. Fake jump, down, walk out. If you struggle with shoulder problems, you can fake jump, walk your leg out, fake jump, stabilize. So you're moving the part that's not painful. You're giving that part of your body every opportunity to stabilize while you move the other part of the body that you're not having the problem with. Okay, anything else?
I think the other thing, and one of the last things with all of these is the more you go on with an exercise, the more fatigued you're going to get and the less you're going to start to think about this stuff. So at the start of an exercise, you might find that you're able to maintain all of this. But by the time you get to the end of a set, the third set or the fifth set, you might be finding that that's when your pain is starting to come in. That can also then be a fatigue or an endurance thing that's happening with your body. And so you're just going to have to either have some cues on the floor, which you're going to have to use to try and guide yourself through that time so you don't have to think about it as much, or you're just going to have to slow it a bit down at the end of your sets or the more sets you go into so that you can actually try and keep your control a little bit. So a cue that you could use, like when you're doing your lunges, When you lunge, you don't want to be lunging across your body, so you might have a little thin strip of a towel lying down in front of you, or a piece of rope, so that you know that you want to be stepping outside of that when you're coming down, so you can square off with your hips and your knee, and you're not going to be finding that the legs, the more tired that you get, you kind of just start to get tired and you cross yourself a little bit. So also fatigue and also sets in with that.
That's a very valid point, guys. We did discuss it when I did some education. Fatigue's a big thing. So you might be able to do the absolute normal burpee on round 1, but by round 3, you're doing adaptation number 4. Okay, do that 3. So there's a very big gap between what you can do and what you can't do through a class. I'm just going to sit down here. Come in, Ed. And that's about the same thing as your kick. And the more often you make a recipe, so Adam's loving these chairs, guys. Sorry, it's being a bit difficult here. He's actually being very well behaved. We'll see what the two of us are like at work. What was I saying? The cake. The more often you make a cake, the better you get at it. If you're going to, the unfortunate part of the body, no matter the fact that you're doing a burpee, for example, and doing millions of them, it doesn't necessarily mean that your body is learning it right. So you have to make sure, body doesn't go, Adam, that's not how you do a burpee, I'm not going to remember that. And unfortunately, if you do 10,000 of those burpees, that is how your body is going to remember. That's the patterning, the process that you teach your body. And with that, the problems can come out. So that's why maybe the problems didn't start from day dot. Maybe the problems are only starting now. And Sarah's made an entrance.
Here I am. Oh yes, how was it? Was it amazing?
Oh, it was amazing. Adam was very well behaved. He didn't swear and he didn't put a zap sign at me.
What?
Yeah.
Not today.
So we want you to send through your questions. So let us know, are there any exercises that these two clowns missed? Did they miss any that you're struggling with? Someone says, any help with plantar fascia, can hardly walk in the mornings.
Oh, that's
See
okay.
a physio maybe.
I definitely see someone that you trust. Look, guys, I'm not advocating physios. I work in teams with orthopods, with chiros, with massage therapists. You've got to find someone that you trust. I think that's the first and foremost.
Yeah.
Because if you don't trust the person you're with, you're not going to trust the process and you're not going to have the outcome. And maybe just a bit of advice there is maybe go to the hardware store, buy a bit of piping and roll your foot over some piping or a tennis ball or a water bottle, half fill it, and fill it with water and then freeze it. Then you can roll your foot over it whenever you're sitting. Because the problem is when you sit still, fascial tissue, same as tendons, don't have very good blood supply. So when you're sitting, the blood's not circulating there. And then you get up and expect suddenly something to happen. So while you're sitting, anything of value to add?
I mean, if we're going to, oh my gosh.
So what I was saying was when you're sitting is just roll your foot. He just likes to be on camera.
I can't even deal with this.
So, yeah, go, Adam, go.
With regards to some of the exercises that we've also just went through with you, stuff like lunges, you're going to be lunging back out onto your back foot. Stuff with plantar fascia, you might find at the start that it might be sore, but then it will actually ease up with the more that you will do. So depending on how it reacts to you and the exercise that you do with it, sometimes you might find the more sets you get through, the better it gets. Or you might find that it actually just aggravates it. So you might find that out in your own specific time. But stuff like lunges, when you put that foot behind you, you're going to be stretching into that foot. So you might just want to watch out. You might find that wearing a shoe stiffens it up and doesn't give as much movement. So that takes a little bit of pressure off. Again, you might just find that how far you drop the back knee down with the lunge will also take a little bit more pressure off with that.
Value adding. Thank you, Ed.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks.
Someone asks, what if you can't go onto your wrists and shoulders at all? Can you do mountain climbers standing up or push-ups against a wall?
Against the wall.
Against the wall.
Against the wall. Yeah. Or if you've got weights at home, you can see I do weights often, right? With the bullock at the end.
Oh, yes.
You hold, your wrist will be in neutral and you can go down with the weight.
Oh, gotcha.
And walk out and then walk back up. I mean, yes, I hope it's not a 20-kilogram weight because that would be hell getting back up. But maybe put them down and only grab onto them while you step back, come back out. Or if you're better at making a fist, again, that does require some strength. Some people do that. Or it's the same thing as we discussed with the squat, raising the heels. You can just put a towel roll or a book or something. And then as you go down, your hand goes more in that position because you've raised here. It's not so much in that position. Those are also options. And Sportsman's Warehouse have grips. We have them in our practice. They have grips that are used specifically for patients that cannot weight bear through their wrists. But valid question.
Yeah, if you can't go down onto your hands or your wrists as well, you can use a bunkie up in front or a couch. You can go onto your elbows. So your chest will be higher and you'll still have the range to bring your knee underneath you, but you'll just be from your elbows. But if you can't go onto your hands or because of your shoulders and your wrists at all, then up against the wall, that's going to be your best. That's going to be your best bet.
Someone has said here that my ankles get sore when I do side movements like jumping side to side, skipping, etc. How can I make it better? Could that also be shoe related?
Not necessarily shoe related. You might find, so the first thing now we're going into physio stuff, but basically when bios, actually, when we first train someone movement-wise, we train them in forward or backwards direction. It's a very simple direction, especially if you've only ever been a runner. Yeah. You only really have trained that muscle system in a forwards-backwards direction, not sideways. So you need to make sure that you get those muscles working, maybe going slower and controlling that movement, balancing on one leg, balancing on different surfaces so that it gets more difficult can also help. And then there are strengthening exercises with the TheraBands and all that sort of stuff. But I'd say just slow everything down, I think. Be less brisk and high risk with it. Slow it down and then see if that doesn't help first.
Amazing.
And if it hasn't settled from, let's say you did a class at 6 this morning, you did lots of sideways, and your ankle hasn't settled from series class, it's better tomorrow, but it's still there, then I wouldn't advocate you do those movements in the class. Wait till it's completely settled and then reassess again. It's not to stop it, because at some point you need to actually get those muscles working. Beach walks are amazing for that.
Oh, yes.
Beach walking is very good for that. Just got to wait for the beaches to open, I guess, right?
Yeah, true.
Ankle sole.
Someone has said here, crunches and push-ups, they hurt my back. Is that a lot of core work that you then go into back stuff?
Okay, is that now there are a number of different ways you can do sit-ups and push-ups. It might be that we can change the position of the legs. So maybe if you want, I don't know who it is. Who is it?
Laka.
Oh, Laka, well, if you want to, I don't know how it works with you guys, but you send a video of you doing it. And then we can maybe advise.
Check it.
Yeah, check it for you and then maybe send an option for you. Different things to try.
I think that's the hardest thing about being online, obviously, is that you can't see people doing the actual exercise. So that's why it's so important that you're watching what we're doing when we speak about form as well. Because we often, with Jeremy in the background, I'm saying to him, no, make sure your back's straight, make sure you're sucking in your core, make sure when you're doing a crunch that you're not leading with your neck, making sure we're listening to those little modifications as well.
I'm happy to help. It's just that it's a very specific.
You can change some stuff with the back of the push-up. You can do it from your knees instead of your feet if you find that helps. It'll just change the leverage through your body a little bit, and it'll just make the leverage a little bit shorter. So it'll take a little bit less strain off of your back. With the sit-ups, obviously a little bit different. It'll be harder to give a bit of an opinion onto that one. But with the push-ups, try start. You have to do 10 push-ups, maybe you do 5 from your feet, and then you change to your knees and you get through 5. And that's where those little 5% changes come in. You don't have to change everything. You don't have to skip the whole exercise. Just little changes. How can you make it less painful?
Nikki's asking about jackknives. And she says her hips click when she does jackknives. Is it normal?
Okay, so again, it goes into the history. I don't know if she can tell us what kind of. So let's just do a test for all of you out there. This is a hypermobility test. Sarah will, I know, passes with flying colours. But if you put your thumb.
But you know why? Because his thumb is.
Yeah, okay, but that one you've had surgery on, that doesn't count. If you can put your thumb on your forearm, okay, and you check both sides.
Nope.
Okay, Adam useless.
Nope.
I can.
Yeah. Baby finger back. Okay, you should be able to, well, should be. 90 degrees is what we're looking for.
Well, not quite there.
Straightening your elbows.
Puppy.
We're looking at the hyperextension of the elbows.
Nope.
Hand on, okay, we know you can't do it.
Sorry.
He is not on the scale, just so we're clear on that. Hands on the floor when you're standing up, and then checking your hypermobility of your knees. If you've got a slight swing to it, and you might have it on one side or the other. Scale is out of 9. If you're 1 out of 9, you're still on the hypermobility scale. So you still have to be treated as a hypermobile individual. And so with regards to the clicking, if you're on the hypermobility scale, typically those people use their joints a lot more and don't gain enough motor control around those joints. So you're at risk of wearing, tearing that joint, and clicking, no, it isn't normal, because otherwise everyone would, but you could be doing further damage, and if it's not painful, then it's okay, but we need to get better control. I think Renee did glutes, did she not?
Yes, she did.
Go back and look at glutes, Renee's glute exercises, and get cracking with them. Again, that consistency, not ordering online, and let us know if that settles, gets less and less and less.
A lot of people are saying they either have no ACL on their knee or they've had hip replacements and they struggle with burpees or jumping exercises, and they're saying, would you suggest doing the walk forward option or doing movements while seated potentially?
You could. Listen, I'm going to be a little bit controversial here. There are 2 Lions rugby players that I've treated that don't have ACLs. Now, I understand that they're training and they've got muscle bulk like this big and they've got people watching them like over them every second of the day, but
they're still tackling and running and changing direction.
Right.
Okay, so it's about strengthening
it's about
the muscles
strengthening
around.
you to be able to do that.
See, I know this lingo because I struggle with my knees a lot, and it's actually not my knees that are the issue, it's my glutes and my hamstrings. So TJ is constantly making me do stuff on the ball and doing all my exercises, not to help with to do anything with my knee, but to strengthen my glutes, my hamstrings, the muscles that are then going to be supporting my knee. So a lot of the time, it just comes down to strengthening the muscles that are around.
Yeah, and if you've had surgery, to make your surgery successful, you need to have done the rehab. A lot of the doctors assume that you've had the joint fixed now, so it should function. It doesn't function normally just because you suddenly got a new joint. You're going to have to learn that all over again.
100%. And I just think that's so important for those of you that are struggling with niggling injuries. I know that physios and rehab and things like that are quite expensive, but I mean, I know I've been an athlete, and I think athletes tend to take their rehab and recovery and stuff really seriously because you want to get back into the game. But now I'm not an athlete, and if I have an injury, the very first thing I do, even if I have a niggle, the first thing I do is I send TJ a message. Hey, TJ, my knees are really bothering me. I don't know what to do. She goes, cool, come book in, come and check up with me. Because for me, who wants to be consistently active and wants to be consistently moving, if my body is hurting or something of my body is hurting, I want to know how I can strengthen those muscles to make sure that it doesn't continue to hurt. Instead of taking myself through that pain and thinking it'll just go away. It doesn't work that way. Am I correct?
So absolutely, and I mean, Sarah, you're a good example. You might have been not necessarily earning huge amounts of cash from your sport, but it was your livelihood at one
100%.
point. Okay, but it's still your livelihood.
100%.
Like
my body is my livelihood.
If you can't do the 6 a.m. class, you're letting how many people on now?
A lot of people.
50,000. John has 50. He might only have 30 after today, but he's got 50,000 people that are relying on Sarah at 6 o'clock in the morning. If Sarah breaks down, it's her income, it's Jeff, it's you, and the other 50 that are out there. So it's important. You need to be functioning.
100%. Don't let them down. The last question we've got is from Chantal. She says, my son had spinal fusion last year, T4 to L3. We have been doing HIIT with Seri. Yes. He struggles with the sit-ups, obviously. What do we suggest to strengthen his back and his abs? He's 14.
Sure, and he's had back fusion. Definitely come in.
Yes,
it doesn't have to be me, but go back to your physio because that is a very unique case and that needs to be watched very, very carefully. We don't want to undo what the surgeon did. Sarah definitely doesn't want to be responsible for that.
No.
So whoever your medical preferred professional is, I would like to guide you more to the rehab side. So if it's a physio that does rehab or it's a biokineticist, we work very closely with many biokineticists. I would definitely, that's not something I'd want to give advice over the line.
And we're gonna wrap up, but what I do want to say is that, I mean, when I moved to PE, I had just had my hand surgery and I needed someone to look after me the same way that TJ has looked after me the whole time that I've been in Cape Town. And for those of you that are needing some help, if you're in Cape Town, TJ and Adam are just the bomb. And I know I'm punting them now and they're going to be embarrassed over here. But I swear by TJ, and I will only go to medical professions that TJ has told me about. So my hand surgery, I only went to the guy that TJ told me about. My physio in PE was TJ told me to go to her. So if you're not in Cape Town and you're struggling and you need to see a physio, shoot TJ an inbox. Say, hey TJ, I'm in Durban. Do you suggest a really good physio for me? Realizing that TJ has dealt with the top sports people. Every time I go to TJ's offices, I mean, last time I went, Faf du Plessis was there. We had nice chats. The next time, Graham Smith is there. Then Dale Steyn is there. I mean, TJ and Adam are dealing with some of the top athletes in the country at the moment. And so TJ also and Adam also know all the top physios that are in the country as well. So if you're not in Cape Town and you're wanting to find some help or you're needing to go and see someone, shoot her a message, ask her, you know, I'm in Durban, who do you suggest I go see? If you are in Cape Town and you're looking for a physio, or I highly suggest TJ and Adam, but that isn't actually the point of this. It's more the fact that if you have extra questions, TJ and Adam are open to answering them. They'll also be very, very frank and honest if they feel like you need to see someone. Tej is the best. I mean, I send her messages saying, Tej, this is happening, and she'll let me know if I need to come in or if I can do something on my own. And then she'll check in a few days and say, has it flared? Is it flared up still, or is it okay? And if it hasn't, cool, come in. So I just feel like we've got through so many cool modifications, but there are a lot of you that are also speaking about stuff that you probably need to just make sure you get some advice. And TJ and Adam also don't want to give that medical advice without seeing you or knowing that. So firstly, I just want to say thanks. I come in, if I'm having a bad day and I go into the physio, I always come out feeling better because they're such clowns. But, you know, they're just world class. I've loved these modifications. From now on, if anyone is saying after a class, I couldn't do this or I couldn't do that, we're going to pin this video to you because there are modifications to everything. You know, I think TJ and Adam went through, rather go through the right form and do things slower than speed it up and end up hurting yourself. So I'm so grateful that TJ and Adam came in today. There's just been so many awesome thanks for the informative session. Please put a link up for contact details. Need to get in contact with HIPS. We'll send that all through to you guys. Thank you for joining us today. You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing for tuning in. Have the best rest of your Thursday. Don't forget, Kathleen is back with us this evening for our flow class. This is something that TJ would advocate for. Flexibility, mobility, and recovery, 5:30 p.m. this evening. For all of you that are complaining about being sore, I'm going to see you at 5:30 this evening.
Come on.
Otherwise, I'll be back at 6 a.m. tomorrow with Jay. Have the best afternoon. We give our people a fist pump.
A fist pump. Register for your run.
Register for your run.
Register for your run.
Boom. See you tomorrow. Toodles.
Bye.
Goodbye.